It's so bad.
gnarly. Oh, so this movie's
so
already
bad.
now succeeded in some pretty nasty scenes, right? A woman jumping off a building, killing herself, getting her tongue cut out, and now this scene is, oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, thank you so much for joining us on another wonderful episode of The Scary Movie Project, the podcast where we talk about scary movies and we're always saved by divine intervention. Let me tell you guys about Cecilia, a woman of devout faith. She is warmly welcomed to the picture-perfect Italian countryside, where she is offered a new role at an illustrious convent. But it becomes clear to Cecilia that her new home harbors dark and horrifying secrets. 2024's Immaculate. And to join me today to talk about Immaculate, you know her, you love her, you cannot effing live without her. Tara Garwood has returned to the program. Ladies and gentlemen, Tara Garwood.
Hello. Hey, peeps.
This is a favorite, not a favorite, but this is a movie that you like a lot, yeah? Immaculate?
I love this movie.
Okay, great.
It's ridiculously wonderful.
Ridiculously wonderful. Yeah, you mentioned this to me, and you said you thought about it, and I had to watch it. So I enjoyed it. There were things that were great. There were things that were not so great, and we're going to sit here and talk about all of those things, right?
Oh, sure. I mean, it's by some judgments, it's a pile of excrement, but it's also really cool.
Yeah,
and
I know.
Ridiculously fun.
So I enjoyed it too. So let's not waste any time here, right? So what is it? It's dark. It's evening. We're at this convent, and this woman is stealing these keys, right? And she's a nun or something like that. We don't really know. Mm-hmm. And she runs off, and she tries to open the door, and she runs for it outside, and it's foggy and misty and scary, and she's then pursued by these figures in hoods, I guess, right? And she's trying to open the gates and trying to get out, and they catch her and they break her leg, right? Into that nasty scene.
So bad.
That was gross, right? And the next thing you know, she's like in a coffin and she's like being buried alive, right? Yeah. And I'm like crazy.
And she's like banging the coffin with her one foot, like.
Yeah. I'm a claustrophobic person, especially like things like elevators. Like I can't do it. And the thought, I mean, anyone being buried alive is a horrible thing, of course, but I see that and I'm just like, oh God, I couldn't even think about something like that. So
I was even thinking about like, it would be horrible just shooting that, right? Because you're still in a coffin. You just have like one side off for the camera.
Yeah.
Like that would still be so just tight. And it's like worse than an MRI machine.
I was just going to say an MRI. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
It was like the top of the coffin was like an inch from her nose.
I know.
Oh, yeah, no.
Remember the scene in Kill Bill 2?
No, thank you very much.
Remember Kill Bill 2 when she gets buried in the coffin? She's got to bust her way out. That was so awesome.
Yes.
So awesome.
Yes.
So
this girl did not bust her way out.
No, she did not.
Sadly.
She is done.
Sadly, she did not.
Texas Funeral, they call it, right? Texas Funeral. So anyway, that's what I've heard. So anyway, that doesn't go well. And then we skip to present day, right? And what happens? We meet Cecilia, who is Sydney Sweeney, right?
Cecilia is with the guards. Like she's just coming into Italy, and they're like asking her, like they're saying in Italian, they're saying, "Oh, it's such a waste."
Yeah,
that she wants to be a nun.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So she shows up. She gets a ride in the fancy Mercedes and through the countryside, and she shows up to and then we see the spooky convent again. And we're like, oh, this is the same place. Whatever. Okay. So she comes in, and it's just this like, and then you start automatically just kind of your mind goes to these like lame, like, have we gone back into some like offensive religious thing where just this spooky convent somewhere in, Italy, and this is like, okay, is this going to be some stereotypical thing, or is this really going to be cool? But so,
I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
Growing up Catholic, I kind of love that shit, so.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I kind of thought of it right away, right? So.
Yeah.
So she says, do we say how old is she supposed to be a teenager? Is she in her early 20s? I don't remember.
She's got to be in like she's got to be at least 18, right?
Okay,
she's like like of age of majority.
Yes. Okay.
At least.
So she shows up, and it's this convent for like to help nuns that are like in their dying days.
It's
they're
like
older.
a hospice.
Yes.
It's a hospice for older nuns who are nearing the end of their days.
Thank you. I should have easily known the answer to that, but thank you for helping me with that.
Sometimes the word just doesn't come.
Yeah, it just doesn't.
It's okay.
Nun hospice. So everything's whatever, and then she has a weird moment where she's like, I don't know, she's taking a dump or she's going to the bathroom, whatever. And then one of the other women there like just shows up on the windowsill, like smoking a cigarette, and is like, "Hey, what's going on?" And was her name Gwen? Is that the other woman?
That's Gwen. That's Sister Gwen, who she becomes friends with.
And you kind of wonder, like right away, like if this woman was like for real, she wouldn't be like hiding, sneaking smokes, right? She'd be kind of like dedicated to her. Anyway,
sure. Yeah, well, and you find out later that she's not really
so much
dedicated to the proposition. She just wanted to get out of a shitty life.
Pretty much, yeah. So she's telling her all these different things, and she's finding out all these different. And there's the sister. Is it Isabel? The other older, not older. She's
yeah, it's Sister Isabel who is like really bitchy to her.
Yes, and like it sets it up so well because you already dislike you like the one Gwen, you dislike the Isabel, right? And then they start, and then later on she meets the what is the priest? What's his name? Starts with a T.
Father Tedeschi, Father Sal.
So then they have a conversation. She explains how she had a near-death experience. She fell under some ice in a lake when she was a kid. She like essentially died for like 7 minutes, and she feels that now she was saved and she's here to like do God's work or whatever. Right?
Very important point that when she tells this story,
yes,
she is drinking.
Yes, she is. She's boozing it up.
She is drinking wine. So and he's joking about how he's probably had too much.
Yes, he does.
So there is alcohol involved. That's very important in a few moments.
Yes. The two of them are a couple of booze hounds, and they're just having a good time. And so after that, take me here. So is this, I don't want to mess this up. Is this the part then where she like kind of gets banged up and passes out and then finds it?
So she's drinking. My dog is behind me getting on the couch.
He's chilling.
She's drinking. She's and then all of a sudden she's like got all these like creepy sisters with black hoods and red cloth over their faces surrounding her and like touching her. Yeah.
Very Rosemary's
she's
Baby,
like
American
freaking
Horror
out. She doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And then she wakes up in her bed.
Yes. Okay.
This is why it's important that she's been drinking, because that'll come in to knowing what happened later, right? I mean, well, we do spoilers here, so
that's all we're about.
So later it's that was when they were doing stuff to her and
planting the seed.
Yes, planting the seed.
Yeah, there you go.
Their own little form of IVF.
That's right. And so then, did we miss the part though where?
Well, she gets initiated.
Right, when they find...
Did that happen right before or right after? She gets initiated either right before or right after.
Right, that happens I think before they even have the dinner. But then where's the scene where she's in that not in the catacomb, but in that basement, and she finds the supposed nail that was used to crucify Jesus.
That's a little later. That's after this.
Okay, so she gets in. She has the mass with their like
woman on the floor.
Yep.
And then she goes in, and the Mother Superior comes and is like, "What are you doing in here?" And she's like, "What is this place?" And she pulls out I think it's the Mother Superior, or it's one of the nuns. I have trouble telling the nuns apart in their habits because you can't see their hair or anything.
Exactly.
But I think it's the Mother Superior, and she holds out the nail.
Yeah, supposedly a nail from the crucifixion of Jesus, right? Is that what they say it is? Okay, right. So yeah, she has the whole. She's in now. She's a nun. They have a big service, and
maybe it is right before maybe it is right before.
I thought it was when she was all banged up.
Then she finds the thing.
Yeah.
She drinks. Then she finds the.
I think so.
The little room. Then she sees the thing. Then she faints. Then she has the weird dream, quote unquote, that she's being touched by all these people with black hoods and red faces.
That's right.
Then she wakes up in her bed.
That's right. That makes sense.
That's what it is. So it's right before she passes out, and then it goes into the creepy dream.
Creepy dream, which is very like Rosemary's Baby, American Horror Story thing.
Not exactly a dream.
Not so much. And yeah, so anyway, long story short, turns out she ends up pregnant. Okay.
Right.
And they're like, oh, Well, they find this out by her going into a meeting with like the priest and everyone there, and them saying,
with all these men like smoking and yelling at her about whether she's ever had sex before.
So are you sure you never had sex? Yes, I'm positive. Like multiple times. Are you sure you're not lying to us? And you're like, what's going on here?
They're like being mean to her.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
They are not just asking, they are like mean about it. Like
she murdered somebody or something, right?
Yeah, like she is a harlot and she is wrong and she is wanton and she is a very bad person and they're treating her horribly, and then when they finally believe her, all of a sudden it's like a celebration.
Right. And they're talking about like how they they're like, well, yeah, we've examined her and like her hymen is intact, and they're like going into everything.
I take issue with that because how did they IVF her? How did they get it in?
Right. How would that have happened?
Without the hymen being broken, that doesn't make sense to me.
And they made a point to say that, which was interesting, I thought, though, too, right? So
yeah, that didn't make sense to me.
They're like, surprise, you're pregnant.
Unless they like. No, like they would have to have like a needle and okay, that's gross.
I mean, yeah, we don't have to necessarily do that, but we can, touch around it if you want. But yeah.
I found that weird because I was like, how would her hymen not be broken in that process? But
that's what was interesting. I think why they mentioned. I thought that was important.
How many women at that age don't already have broken hymen just from I don't know, falling or
your body
doing the splits or something
growing?
Like
yeah, I mean, seriously, right?
Yeah, like it just.
Yeah. Well, they mentioned it Friday. I thought it was maybe interesting to kind of make that point. But so yeah, surprise, you're pregnant, and then it's this whole you're the queen and you're the chosen one.
Hold on. Let's talk about that scene for a second.
Which one?
They put her in that Mary, Mother Mary costume, and that is like one of the most gorgeous shots.
Isn't that cool?
Ever.
Yeah. It happens
but
to fit her
also
quite well.
How spooky that they had that already
I was gonna
there.
Say, right? I read that somewhere too. Like it happens to fit her quite well. How did that work?
Yeah. Like they already had it.
And everyone's like, no more doing anything. You're just gonna, be pregnant now and do whatever that is, and you're not gonna work. And,
no work.
Yes.
Your job is baby.
Your job is the baby. That's right. And so at this point, Sister Isabel, I guess, is not having this. She's not happy about this.
Losing her mind.
So they're in the hot tub or the whirlpool or whatever at one point, and she tries to drown homegirl. Yep. And she's like, no, this is wrong. This is supposed to be me. And you're like, oh,
you got to try again with me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Now we see what's going on. She's not cool with this. And while this is happening, the other one, Gwen, she is ready to voice her opinion, and she's not feeling cool about a lot of stuff going on. And you get this feeling some weird stuff is already starting to happen at this point,
She's trying to stand up for Cecilia, saying she needs to go to a real hospital. Because Cecilia is
pregnant.
But she throws up and she literally throws up a tooth.
Yeah, a tooth falls out, I think.
And then at one point, in one scene, she's doing confession and she rips her nail off. She is
that
literally
was gross. I forgot about that.
That was so gross. But she is visibly falling apart.
Yeah,
during this pregnancy, and they're not taking her to a real doctor. He's a real doctor, but he's not the hospital.
I mean, look, the reality is thousands, millions, whatever years ago, women had children with no obviously it happened, of course, but it's
right, but they would try to do something if you were
of course.
puking up teeth.
Right. If you're exactly. If you're just sitting in this place.
And your nails were falling off.
Right. And things are falling off you, something needs to be done. Someone needs to help you, obviously.
Right.
Of course. So they don't do that, obviously, because they don't want. Then you're starting to figure out what's, you're getting the Rosemary's Baby vibe going on. I'm trying to mention that movie 10 times. That's okay. And then.
It's a progenitor of this movie.
For sure. So it goes on. She gets worse and worse, whatever. And then you get, I think then do we have the point where Sister Isabel jumps out the window and kills herself, right? And lands on her face in the courtyard, and you see her mangled face, and it's so gross.
But somehow you can still tell it's her, but it's so gross.
Man. And I love that they showed it. They didn't hold back on that. They showed it, man.
Oh no, they just rolled her right over, and they're zoom in. This is the face now, and it's just all raw meat.
She's dead. And then we get to, I love the scenes with Gwen, where she's like, I'm done with it. And she has a total tirade. And she goes off at a dinner or something.
Yep.
F this and F you guys and da-da-da-da. You all better help her out. And you're watching her thinking, this is not going to turn out well for this woman. It's just not.
It doesn't.
And they take her away, and we'll see what happens to her later.
Yep.
Okay, now I forget. Now, where do we can get into that scene, but where do we go after they take her away? Do we want to just jump into what happens to her then after that?
Yeah, I think that's pretty quick.
Essentially,
after that.
it goes pretty quickly. So Cecilia's walking around in the evening, and she's at nighttime sneaking around. She's trying to find what's going on around.
Well, she's looking for her because she looks and she finds the dossier that they have on her.
Oh, that's right. And that painting with like the scripture written behind it or whatever, right?
Yeah, in her room there's a painting and they've written the scripture and it's basically like the devil can look like a good guy. Right. And she's like, oh,
what is happening?
But then while she's looking for stuff, I think that's when she hears Gwen scream.
Okay, yep. So she sneaks out into the courtyard and is walking around. She looks through a door and they got like a JV torture room or something. And they got that woman Gwen tied up in a chair and she looks in and they pull her tongue out and they cut her tongue out.
And we forgot to mention her before, but Benedictine nun, the nun who just keeps calling her blessed.
Yes.
And holy, and who has earlier on cut a block of her, like snuck into a room in the middle of the night and cut a lock of her hair.
Right.
And just always says, Benedictine.
Yeah.
And so she brings her and she's taken her hair and made a little like poppet, like corn dolly type thing out of her hair. And she hands it to her and it's like, Benedictine.
Yeah,
and
she grabs her after she sees her get her, and she covers her mouth and tells her to be quiet, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then she gives her the thing, but then what does Cecilia say? But she says something. She's like, "We gotta get out of here," or something. And she's like,
we gotta go, or something.
You will never leave.
Right.
This place. It's so freaking creepy.
That's pretty good. I like that. Yeah, man. That was. You know it's just downhill at this point. I mean,
it's so bad.
Cutting
it's so
out people's
creepy.
tongue, dude. That's just some like, oh, dude, it's so nasty. So then she eventually finds out, or no, sorry, back that up. She then fakes a miscarriage by cutting up a chicken, right?
Right, we've already seen that as they're learning to do things, she can't cut the chicken's head off.
She wouldn't do it. Yep, she would refuse to. She couldn't do it. She couldn't do it.
So now they come in and they find her and she's all bloody and she's bleeding out her area. Yeah. And they're like, finally they're like, shit, we have to take her to the hospital. And as they're driving her, the Mother Superior looks under the bed and finds a chicken head.
She cut up the chicken and made it bleed.
And calls them and tells Father Sal.
She's like screaming in the car and she's like, where are we going? What's happening? What the hell's going on? Then she gets out of the car and she makes
one of my, hold on, before she gets out of the car, that's one of my favorite moments because Sal is looking at her. Father Sal's looking at her. He's on the phone. And all of a sudden,
you don't know who's on the phone,
just gets
right?
this. He's on the phone with Mother Superior telling him.
Did we know as the audience it was her on the phone? I don't remember. Did we know that?
I think we know it's her because she's the one who found the chicken.
Okay.
Head. So she would have called him.
Okay.
So he's on the phone, but all of a sudden his whole demeanor just goes.
Yeah.
And she goes.
Yeah,
and she
right?
just runs. She just cuts and runs. Like, just the looks in their faces, like the way their faces both just subtly change.
That scene,
that moment was beautiful.
Oh, it's great. And then her just sprinting through this field in the middle of nowhere, bloody, like however many months pregnant, just hauling
another
ass.
Gorgeous shot because that field is beautiful.
And the way that it's this gorgeous field, and she's running through here, and she's covered in blood, and the juxtaposition, whatever, of these two scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just like, she'll do anything. She is desperate to escape this, anything to get out of there. Oh my God. Yeah, that scene is awesome, right? You're like, that's when it's like true desperation.
And she'll do anything, but they catch her within like 30 seconds.
Yeah, they sure do. They catch her. Yeah, that doesn't go well.
I mean, there's no way she was going to get out of this.
No. So she comes back, and then we later find, after some time, and then is that when she then finds out, before the scene that kind of like Misery, we want to get into that scene with the because I think she finds the lab first, right, where everything's happening.
Well, that's as he's taking her in to do the Misery thing. So he takes her.
Okay, right.
He takes her through the lab, and like any good bad guy, tells her his whole plan.
Yes.
Right, and he shows
like
her
the jars of like
many
the old
fetuses in the jars that are all like deformed and gross.
So gross.
But that her baby is perfect. He's got it right this time.
That's right. And then the audience finally finds out what the hell this idiots doing, right? Yeah, exactly.
Right. So then it's like, oh crap, because he has mentioned earlier on that he used to be a biologist, but his ideas, like nobody bought into his ideas, and so he became a priest, and now he's being a biologist for the priest because they think they have Jesus' DNA from that.
Of course they do. It's just like Jurassic Park.
From the nail, but from the nail, they think they have Jesus' DNA, and so they're impregnating women.
This is nuts.
And that's what Sister Isabel was talking about when she was like, "You have to try again with me," was that she wanted to be the Mother Mary, and she had a failure baby.
Yep.
And so now they're trying with Sister Cecilia, but so they have her like tied up to like one of those old fashioned like wheelchairs, and they roll her in, and then. You want to tell this part?
Yeah, I mean...
I felt like you did.
So there was a great scene that we forgot to mention earlier where we saw Cecilia taking care of the older women. This is a foreshadowing moment.
It's the Benedicte sister.
Is it? Okay, it's that one. Okay. And she's taking care of her in her bed, and when she's, taking her sock, whatever, shoes off, and she looks at her feet, into the bottoms of her feet, and she has these... looks like branding, like cattle branding of a cross in her feet. And you're like, what is this? So while he's explaining this all to her, there's like an oven nearby. You're just not thinking about it. And then you see him poking around in there with a prod, and he pulls it out, and you realize, and it's the cross, and he freaking brands the bottom of her feet with the... Oh, man, it's so gnarly. Oh. So this movie's already now succeeded in some pretty nasty scenes, right? A woman jumping off a building, killing herself, getting her tongue cut out. And now this scene is, oh, my God. So she's all messed up, and they lock her up back in her room, and she's like, she's jacked up at this point. She's like 8 months pregnant probably at this point.
She's a mess. She
can't move because she can't walk at this point. So now she's trying to get the hell out of here, of course. Yeah. And then there's just this scene where she eventually goes like Beatrix Kiddo from like Kill Bill on these folks and just starts going on like a rampage and starts killing people.
They bring in the sonogram again.
Oh, that's right.
So they sonogram her again, and they're all excited. And then Father Sal leaves to do something, and only Mother Superior's there. And my favorite part about this is that you see the close up of Mother Superior. And you don't see Sister Cecilia or anything. You just see the little cross behind Mother Superior, like go like this across the back behind her, and you're like, oh, she's picking that up.
Yep.
Oh, hold on, I got it. I got a guest.
Oh, we have a guest. Oh,
I have a guest.
Wonderful. See, we love to have small friends.
You can only see him on the YouTube, but Carlton has demanded my attention.
Carlton, what up, brother?
So he's going to sit in my lap for a little bit.
Okay. Feel free to jump in if he has any comments on the episode.
You got anything to say, bud?
You got anything to say, man? He's like,
nope, he's got nothing.
He's like, I was sleeping during that movie. Forget that stuff.
Yeah, he's like, I just slept. I don't know. I slept through it.
Yeah, then she kind of just starts just killing people, right? She bashes her with the cross.
Right, she bashes her. She basically, it's like, she's like, I'm not just going to get out. I'm going to end this.
And I'm killing all y'all with you, exactly.
I'm taking all y'all down.
As she should, because this place has some seriously demented stuff going on. So
so she kills the Mother Superior. She kills the Cardinal.
Yep. Decides to kill him while he's like in like a mass or something.
And then she goes down to the lab. Yeah, he's just walking out into the veranda to have a cigarette. I think
she strangles him with like the freaking rosary or something.
Yes, with the rosary. I love it. She strangles him with the rosary.
She's not messing around.
And then she goes down to the lab, and she like pours like
gas all over,
gasoline everywhere.
Yep.
And Father Sal comes down, and she manages to lock him inside.
Yes, she does.
And he's like grabbing her hair like through the little like open window in the door.
Yeah, she shuts the door, and then you think she's safe, and then he grabs her and he grabs her by her hair. Yeah.
Yeah,
and she has the nail, right? Doesn't she have the crucifixion nail with her?
At that point she has the she has the nail, I think, but she has the lighter.
That's right.
And she drops it, and he jumps away, and she jumps away.
Yep.
And he burns, and you think, oh, thank God she got him.
Nope.
And then you see the like foamy spray from a fire extinguisher.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, crap.
He's not
dead. She goes running. And that's when she goes into the catacombs, which I think must have been real catacombs.
I heard about this, and I don't know where they did this, but yeah, I think it is.
I think it has to have been real catacombs because
It's quite a set otherwise.
It looked too real. And
yeah, it's really cool.
Honestly,
went on forever.
You wouldn't spend that long running around the catacombs doing nothing else if it weren't real catacombs and you wanted to show it off.
You know what? And they're down there. That scene goes on. She's running and running and running and running and running.
It's so long. It's way too long.
And while she's down there, she finds Gwen's dead body, right?
Yes.
Down there, yeah.
Like, with her tongue gone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so gross. She finds Gwen's dead body. She finally finds like a hole up high that she can like crawl up and out of, and she gets almost out, and then she gets yanked back.
Yep. And he is burned up. He is so
Father
messed up.
Sal is like a freaking.
He's crispy.
He's crispy. He's like a mozzarella stick on one side.
He's burned up.
Yeah, he's like one half of him is like all like fried and the other half is normal, and he's melted. And he attacks her.
He tries to cut her stomach open.
He cuts her stomach open.
Yeah.
Which again, I'm gonna have problems with this in a minute, but we'll get back to that.
All right.
So he cuts her stomach open like he's gonna do a C-section. And she ends up. Then she fumbles around. She pulls out
she has the nail.
The nail, and she stabs him in the neck with it.
Awesome.
So then he really dies this time, and she climbs out, and she just lets out an unholy scream.
Did it remind you of The Descent? Doesn't she come out of the ground at the end of that movie and do something similar to that?
I think she does scream, doesn't she?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think she does.
It's like a primal...
So it's like...
Yeah, it's like just a primal like release of like
it's
everything.
Primal,
right?
yeah. Primal is the word.
Yeah.
It's primal.
Yeah.
And then that like sort of turns into her like screaming as she's giving birth. Yeah. Which this is where I have a problem. Women who have had a past C-section have trouble giving vaginal birth because their muscles have been cut. If her muscles are cut wide open, how the heck is she gonna push a baby out? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, that's a very fair point that you would think that they would have thought about during this as well.
I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. But it's a good scene and it's cool.
Oh, it's a great
cool
scene.
Rules in this show, in this movie. Like, it's just cool rules. And then what happens? Oh, then she has the baby. She grabs the umbilical cord and fights through it.
That was, oh man. Now, not to mention. Oh, go ahead though. Go ahead.
Oh, wait. What
no, you were on a roll. I want you to keep going.
Then she hobbles over.
Okay, so I am gonna interrupt you because I want to mention about the fact that I'll mention this later. We never see the baby, but you hear the noises / crying, gurgling. And you can tell this is an inhuman monster she delivered. Okay, anyway, but keep going.
You can tell. It's like,
we don't need to see it. We don't need to. Yeah,
well, you do see it from far away behind her, though.
You do.
Its head is like bigger than its body.
But you never,
And then she hobbles over. She grabs a big old rock.
And you know what she's going to do.
And you just are on her face the whole time as she raises it up and slams it down. Cut to black.
Yep, that's it.
Hard cut to black.
That's it.
But so my complaint about this, but I think I'm retracting it.
Okay.
My original complaint when we first watched the movie.
All right.
Was that I thought it would have been much more hardcore if the baby was perfect.
Oh, and we saw like this image of this perfect child like laying there or something.
If
and
it was perfect baby, not gurgling like a monster, and she killed it because it shouldn't be done.
Right, I understand that. Okay.
Right, I thought that would have been more hardcore. I still do think that would be more hardcore. However,
that is interesting.
I think that it makes sense that Father Sal was never going to get this right.
No.
I think that's the point they were making, is that there wasn't going to be a right, that you can't do this.
Remember, we tried this with Jurassic Park, guys.
Didn't work then, not going to work with
Why is it going to work now?
Crazy either.
So I read something that said in our interesting recap on it saying, well, the DNA in the blood would be so old. Of course, you would have these twisted half-human. They wouldn't be real. Be all it wouldn't work.
Degraded and Well, and how do you know it's his? How do you know it's not?
Of course, you don't know.
How do you know someone didn't cut themselves on it before they stabbed him? Or how do you know it wasn't used on a whole bunch of other people?
Of course.
And it was somebody else's DNA who was killed with it. I mean,
no, of
there's
course,
like so many.
Those are all great facts, right? And that's why
Right. There's so
we
many
always go so
problems
deep
with
into
their
it, right?
with their not with the
Right.
premise of the movie, but with Father
Therefore-
Sal's
Yes, of
like
course.
assumptions
Of
where
course.
you're like, you know, that was him.
That would never work.
on.
What are you talking about? Right. Yeah, I thought that that last scene when she gets out and she gives birth, that was gnarly. And then you hear those like noises and just guttural sounds, and you're like, oh, this, you really want to see what this thing looks like, but you really don't. Then you know right away she's gonna kill it. You know, it's not just the movie's not gonna end that way.
She has to.
And
she has to.
She has still the energy and then the wherewithal to do this after just giving birth and to bite and just like, oh my god, it's so gross. And
I mean, she's pretty much gonna die there. Like, come on.
So
her stomach's all sliced open.
So that's a
she's
great
in
point.
the middle of nowhere.
Would you assume she would just pass out and die shortly after this? Do you think?
I can't imagine she got rescued
Who would
in the
help
middle
her?
of
Right.
nowhere.
Right. Who would come help her? Exactly. Who's
Yeah,
gonna come
like.
help her? So yeah. That's. But I never thought about your point of, because the whole time she's thinking, I got this monster in me from a monster.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then like the tables turn, it's this gorgeous baby. And you'd have this like horrendous, like, oh my god, I can't kill, like, weird thing, right? That would be so
right.
interesting.
You'd be like, but it is this perfect baby.
That would be
but this is evil, and I have to get rid of it.
You'd soft light, the baby, and it would look so nice.
Mm-hmm.
But oh my god, that's a great idea. But here's the
other problem that I have with him and the DNA thing is like, what makes him think divinity would be passed through DNA?
Yeah, that doesn't seem like that could happen, does it? I don't know.
Like, does God have DNA when God impregnated Mary? Like,
you're going way over my head right now.
Or is it just Mary's DNA? Because, like, is Jesus essentially a sort of clone of Mary because he only has her DNA because God doesn't have DNA? I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
I think it was a one-time deal. You get Jesus out of it, and that's it. We're done. That's it.
But
I don't know.
The trying to marry the religion and the science, it's like it doesn't line up. It don't
make sense.
Work. It doesn't work, which is, of course, why it doesn't work, right?
It's part of the fun. It could be part of the reason you mentioned at the beginning that the movie could be labeled as a pile of excrement at the same time as we found it very entertaining.
I mean, I love it, but like I could see people being like, "This is some stupid shit."
Oh
like,
yeah,
I hate this movie, but I love it.
So let me ask you this then, okay? So, all right, look. Themes of body horror. Okay, there you go, right there, obviously.
Sure.
Controlling women's bodies, men controlling women's bodies, of course. Religious horror. I have... This film is made after... No, actually, I'm going to back that up. How do we feel about people that have seen this? What is... I haven't read any of this, so I don't know. But what are thoughts on folks whose feelings on abortions and things like that? What is... How is this viewed? Is this viewed as a terrible, terrible film? Trash? I don't know. What do we think about something like that?
I don't know. I can't speak for any of those people.
Yeah, but I think it's something that would stir up some... It would definitely stir the pot, I would think, right?
I think it would. I think it would stir the pot. I mean, any movie that makes Catholic representatives of the Catholic Church evil is gonna stir the pot with Catholics, right?
But like, so often, right? It's like it's such.
But
it's
a trope almost. For a reason, right? It's a thing. Like, but
was this filmed after Roe v. Wade was overturned? Yes.
Yes, but I don't. Was it written after or before?
That I don't know. That's a very good point. Because I wonder how much that has to play into this.
Although, even if it was written before, look,
there's rewrites constantly. We have been
in an abortion battle in this country for a very long time.
Absolutely.
So, like before Roe v. Wade was turned over, it was already.
Oh yeah.
It was already troubled waters. So I can imagine someone writing this with some of that in mind.
You can't just write this and be so not
with
any
the
clue
ideas of forcing women to give birth to children they don't want or can't keep, with forcing, and also like she's deteriorating. So it's also, we've talked about the issues of abortion being allowed for women who are maybe going to die from this baby. Like, so there's that. There's also the idea of the church dominating people's lives and controlling people's lives and not allowing them a say in their own lives. So there's a lot of free will and the lack thereof, I think, in this movie.
Yeah, interesting. That's, it's one way for me to watch and one way for maybe you to watch it in different lenses, I guess you can say. But I don't know. I definitely think, though, you can't, when you write this, that has to come up, and you have to think about, do you specifically want to write this to talk about this outright, or do you want it to be like, do you want to touch on it but not really get around it? Like, that's really difficult to get to, right? Or then you hear a story, well, I didn't want to write it this way, and it's like William Friedkin saying he says The Exorcist isn't a horror film, and it's like, well, what are you talking about, right?
That's, okay, when they did, I don't know if you've ever read the screenplay for Get Out.
I have not.
So the ending, and I'm bringing this up because this is that sort of same quandary.
Yeah.
But the screenplay for Get Out was a very different ending.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a couple minor differences, but the big difference is that at the end, when the cop car comes,
mm-hmm.
or when the car comes after he's killed them, the grandfather and the girlfriend, which it's not the girlfriend in the screenplay, but that's beside the point. He's killed them on the road. He's escaping. Cop cars come.
Right.
And they arrest him.
They do. Okay. So
and the end of the film is his buddy visiting him in jail and being like, "Oh my God, tell me where these people are. Let me go get this. Let me go deal with this. Like, we can fix this. We can save people." And he's just like, "Nah, man, I'm fine. This is how it is." And so it's like very dark. But that was written before all the police brutality and like police shooting black men happened and became, well, not happened before it happened, but before it became a big thing with Black Lives Matter and everything. And when that happened, they were like, Jordan Peele was like, "I gotta change this because that's not what I'm trying to comment on."
Sure. Okay.
And so he changed it to the buddy coming and them driving away, made it a little bit of a happier ending, which personally I like that ending better. I
didn't even know that. Yeah, I didn't even know that. Wow.
I like that ending because I want so much for the guy who's always losing to win.
Right.
I want, like, you want it so bad.
Yeah.
For him to win. But I do see how the other ending would have been really powerful. But I think he said, "Look, this is saying more than we want to say." So he changed it. So I can see that being something with this movie too, where it's like, how far do we want to go into some of these really weighty topics and really controversial topics?
You got to tread lightly, as they say sometimes with this stuff, right? So what do you think about, I don't know much about Michael, how you pronounce Mohan, the director. I don't know much about him. I don't know do you know a lot about him?
Not really. I know that he directed another film with Sydney Sweeney in it, The Voyeurs, where she plays a peeping Tom, but I haven't seen it. Now I kind of want to.
Tom. That is interesting because any movie with peeping Tom is usually some weird dude.
It's usually a dude.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to see it now.
Now, when this came out, I remember before I even mentioned it to you, I remember hearing about people were like, Sydney Sweeney for Oscar. Like, they were just raving. What do you think about her in this overall? Do you like her a lot?
I thought she did a great job.
She's 24, 25? Something. She's fairly young, right?
Yeah, she's pretty young. I thought she did a really great job in it. I thought she really had Scream Queen vibes. Like,
Scream Queen, love it.
She nailed it.
Yeah.
And I read something,
no pun intended,
that said that scene where she comes out of the hole and she like is just screaming was like, that was the first take, no rehearsal.
Really?
Like, she just
that's awesome.
Went for it on the first take. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I thought she was great. I loved Sister Gwen.
Yeah, I like she was one of my favorites. I liked her a lot. She was really good. I
really liked her. I thought she was awesome. I thought Father Sal was there was a word. Okay, tell me if you got this or not.
Okay, all right.
I felt like there was a weird, like almost sexual tension between Sister Cecilia and Father Sal.
I could have seen that. Okay.
And it sort of like
that. Creeped you out.
Weirded me out the whole time.
Yeah,
like
that's not,
even before we knew he was bad, I was like,
yeah. That's not really the place for that.
He's a father and he's way older than her, but I feel like there's like a weird connection. Like
it's not the place to hit on people necessarily. Yeah, not so much.
Yeah, like I felt like there were like weird, sexy vibes, and I was like,
So you talk about the.
So I was already unsettled.
So are you talking about maybe the part when they're drinking and they're standing in the round?
Yeah,
probably,
like when they're drinking, but like even like there's a scene. What is he telling her? He's saying something to her, and he comes and he gets. And it's like there's silhouettes in the shot, and he's like right close to her, and it's like it's almost like he's gonna kiss her. Like it's almost sexual. Like
so that's great though, because that may have been something really awesome they threw in there and did exactly for that you wanted to see that, right? That was the reaction they wanted out of you, and you said
you're already uneasy, right?
This is uneasy,
this is
exactly,
not right.
Because the audience knows something weird is happening. Also, I just thought of this.
He's the guy who impregnates her. So maybe there is a bit of him being sexually attracted to her.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's part of why he finds her to be a good new Mother Mary, right?
Yeah. So, I don't know. Did you watch American Horror Story Delicate, the most recent one?
No, I didn't yet.
It's pretty good. It is essentially kind of, well, not so much this story, but it's about a woman getting pregnant. So, all right. It's kind of like I always talk about, the movies that start the genres, right? Like, shark movies is Jaws, right? Found footage is Blair Witch. Demon baby stuff is Rosemary's Baby, okay? Like, that is it. That is the one. Right. And it's kind of the one, right? So this is very much a lot of that too, right? It's a cult, and she has Satan's child and all that. So American Horror Story Delicate is the same type of thing. It's a woman trying to use an IVF. She's trying to get pregnant with her new husband, and weird scenes of, people in robes and seeing things. And I love the Rosemary, but she's saying, this is no dream. This is really happening, right? And it's the same kind of thing. So much of that is, but that's okay. You can steal from that. You can play off that. You don't have, that's what's the sincere, what's the line about imitation is a serious form of flattery or whatever, I guess, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's fine to use that. So I liked that part because I like any sinister cult, thing is always awesome. Yeah. Yes, we love that on this program. And so what do you think about the setting? How did you feel about not the castle, but the convent itself, like the isolated landscape, when you see her running away, that field, like I found that to be a big character in it.
Yes.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I don't think the movie would have worked if it wasn't in this beautiful,
like if this had happened in some suburban like church somewhere,
thing.
Right?
Yeah, if it was in
right.
I don't know, Chicago, it wouldn't work.
Right.
It's gotta be. She's got to be isolated by not knowing the language. One.
Yep.
Right. She's got to be isolated physically, like they're in this convent that's far away from the cities, and then the culture is so different, right? Because she has come from like a city church.
Yeah. She's completely fish out of water. I mean, totally.
Yeah. So this is totally different for her. And then what was I going to say? Oh, even the and I joked about this with my husband when we were watching it. I said, so they have electric lights because she's got a lamp next to her bed, but they're walking around the hallways with candles.
Oh, yeah.
And then when she goes down into the catacombs, then she has a flashlight. And I'm like, but it works. It's another almost like isolation and like tension that like the candle could go out, like
spooky.
Someone could see her I don't know. There's something about it that sets the mood better than if she had a little like lantern or flashlight with her walking around the convent.
Would you go down to those catacombs?
Like on a tour?
Yeah. Would you do it? Have you ever been to Paris and done like the catacomb there? Have you done that?
No, I'd love to though.
Okay, I have not either. It's pretty cool from what I hear. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good point. I got to find out if that was a real catacomb somewhere, or if they built that.
Somehow,
that was hell of a set if they did.
The places where you can go in like haunted prisons, scare the shit out of me, but catacombs don't.
You ever done an underground tour? Like, so I've done to the Shanghai tunnels in Portland and Oregon. That's pretty cool. It can be very, not claustrophobic, but it can be kind of spooky down there because these are the real tunnels where people were literally shanghaied and kidnapped and shipped away.
Oh shit!
Like, they're there. They're pretty cool.
Okay.
It's pretty spooky. So yeah, I think overall I like this. I thought it was a good movie. I enjoyed watching it. I definitely thought it used a lot of tropes and the things we've all seen before. But that's okay because those things are cool and they work. And that spooky beginning, with that one woman that So the violence, I mean, those were great. Like,
right.
Like said,
that was so
well
well done.
Leg broken and being buried alive and, cutting out that woman's tongue. I mean, that's the one that got me, man. And then of course, giving birth. Like, I mean, so I wonder how long they had to think. Because if it was me shooting, I'm thinking, okay, I got to get this scene. I got to get this birth scene right. We have to do this right.
Right.
And I wonder how many, shots and different takes and different reiterations of a script they went through. Because, like you said, apparently it was one take. She got it. But that must have been a day of like, okay, we got to really get this. On set, I imagine.
Yeah.
We really have to get this one right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I mean, I just think of the actress like having, because it was only that one shot that they got in the first take. Like she probably had to do that over and over and over for like a couple hours. I bet she was screaming and stuff like that. Like maybe not a couple hours straight, but like couple hours to like set up the scene, have her be doing, and she does it, and then they reset, and then she does it again, and then they move some things around or change some things. Yeah, like
it takes a while.
That would be a lot.
So here's the thing. I feel like now when I watch movies, I always want I have these questions now at the end, which they don't make sense, but I didn't wonder what happens, right? So like we said, she probably died. We would think, and then I wonder. You think anything like this had happened before? Because obviously no one had killed this guy because he was still doing these things, obviously. So what do you think would have happened to that convent after all this stuff happened?
I think she's the first one who got away.
Okay.
I don't think the convent gets in trouble at all.
It just keeps on going?
Anyone notices.
It keeps on going.
That's why they picked people like her, right? She's an orphan, clearly, because she's
no one cares about her. No one cares about her.
No one knows.
Yep, I like that. That's a good point. So here, I'm going to give you a throwback now. I remember we used to do this on the show. If you're any character in the film, who are you? Right?
Who am I?
Yeah.
Like, the person I am now, when I was a kid, when I was younger, I would have been Sister Cecilia. But now, I'm Gwen all the way.
Yeah.
I'm like, totally. I don't buy this shit.
Yeah. No, I would totally agree, because I am someone who, whether you like it or not, I'm probably going to tell you exactly how I feel, and I'm going to make a scene about it too. Yeah.
I'm like these people, this is BS. They're not real. They're not. Oh, no.
And it was so well. It was so well done when she did that, because you had been brought up so well into the movie so far that you knew she was probably going to get killed for that. Like, you knew something so bad was going to happen to her.
Gwen is not going to be okay.
No, she's really not. That did not end well. So that was really, good pick. I would give you all the credit in the world for that. Good decision. I think.
Okay, so if I may recommend one more, make one more recommendation.
Please.
A pairing, if you will, as of like wine and cheese.
A double feature, you say?
A double feature.
Please.
I highly recommend watching Immaculate.
Okay.
Watch Immaculate first, and then watching The First Omen.
Okay, so I'm glad, because I haven't seen it, and I'm glad you would say it's good things about it. Okay, good.
They have very similar vibes. And very similar, they deal with very similar topics, because obviously The Omen is about like having the devil's baby, right? So
great movie.
They're very similar topics, and they're both really good in different ways. But the reason I say watch Immaculate first is because I actually think that The First Omen is a better made movie.
Okay.
So I think if you watch that first, then you're going to watch Immaculate and be like, this is just kind of crappy, The First Omen. But it's not. It's like really good in its own way. So you got to watch it first so you can appreciate it.
Okay.
And then you watch The First Omen.
Well, that is good advice we'll take from a filmmaker.
We watched them within a couple days of each other, and it was like, oh, yes, so good.
Okay. I've done the first part, so now I need to go watch First Omen. All right.
Yep.
So Would be remiss if I didn't bring this up, though, which I love, was a term that you mentioned in this talking about this film. What do you think about nunsploitation?
Nunsploitation, love it.
Yes, I gotta say it's probably the first time I'd heard that before.
I hadn't either.
Nunsploitation.
But it makes sense. Like,
yes,
because nuns are so
stereotyped,
they're supposed to be
picked
so
on.
good,
I don't know,
and so chaste, right?
Yes.
And so holy,
virtuous.
That to denigrate them is like there's great joy in that, right? There's like a yes, I love it. Make the nun evil, right? You know, I love that.
So thinking about movies like that, right? So the ridiculous Nuns on the Run movie from the 90s, that was the stupidest movie ever. Dumbass comedy
Is that
movie,
nunsploitation too?
Yes, absolutely.
Does that count? Okay. So
I think The Devils, the Ken Russell 70s film, The Nun, right?
What's the Whoopi Goldberg one? Habit.
Oh, Sister Act.
Sister Act. There we go.
I never thought about that, but that has to be nunsploitation. Okay, boom. There you go. I like it. But there are a couple. I haven't seen a ton of them. There's some other Italian films that kind of, and a lot of people say this movie reminds them kind of like of some Italian horror, which is cool too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I say they both have this, and I think this more so, but also the First Omen have like very giallo vibes.
Ah, okay, yes, good.
They have very giallo vibes. Like,
watch more Italian horror.
This one has the more traditional giallo vibes into like everything's just over the top and ridiculous.
Oh yeah, it's great. You know what? Really need to watch more Italian horror, and everyone watch more Italian horror in your life.
Yes, we all do.
It'll do you good. It'll do you good.
We all do. Watch the first Suspiria and watch the new Suspiria. Mwah, beautiful.
So now we did that episode. Now I have still not seen the new one. Did you not remember it? Did you see the new one? We reviewed the original.
It's so good,
and it is good. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, watch it.
Just in this last few minutes.
I'm not going to say anything about it because you have to watch it.
Well, it'll be ready for another episode. We can tag team it and do. We did the original and we did the remake now. So
yeah.
Okay, good. So yeah. Anyway, good movie, good pick, good choice. We like it. We enjoy it a lot. So thank you, Tara, for coming on. We love to have you when we can. So
thank you for having me back for a while.
You are doing amazing things. What are you up to? Where can people find out all the cool stuff you are doing?
Well, my short film, The Strangle of Ivy, was just at Gen Con Film Festival.
Watch it.
For its 14th film festival. 14th. And wow. We're almost done with the festival run, just about. And let's see that. And I'm writing my first feature. Yes. And I think I've told you this, Matt, but I won I'll tell our listeners, your listeners now.
Please. They're always your listeners. They'll forever be your listeners.
I won a competition to be mentored by the Hayes brothers who wrote The Conjuring. So I'm writing a horror comedy and they are helping me write it. And it's been really amazing. It's been a few months that we've been doing this and I'm really enjoying myself and having fun. And I just figured out, I think, how I want to write another short film. So I have another short film brewing in the Sisters vein because two of my 3 short films are sisters.
Yes, they are.
Involve sisters. So I have another sisters one brewing. So I think eventually I'm just going to have a little anthology of sisters.
It wouldn't be a Tara Garwood film unless it involves sisters. Yeah, no.
Right. Well, actually, I was going to say my feature doesn't, but it does because it's sorority sisters.
See, there you go.
So it does have sisters.
I love it. Excellent. So, Very proud of you. Excellent work. This is very happy. I love to hear these things. Yeah, and you are welcome to come on this show and ramble anytime you want. Where do people find out stuff, social, whatever? Where can they hit you up?
terracottafilms.com, and that is not like terracotta the clay. That is Tara, T-A-R-A, Kata, K-A-T-A, like kata.
A wonderful play on words.
terracottafilms.com. And you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads, also at Terracotta Films.
Wonderful. Fabulous. And you knuckleheads out there know the deal at The Scary Movie Project on Instagram and Facebook. Email us, thescarymovieproject@gmail.com. Go to the website, thescarymovieproject.com. So many ways to find us, right? So until next time, I think that's going to wrap it for us. Go see a double feature of Immaculate and then the First Omen, and you will not be disappointed. That's it for us. And until next time, don't forget, we're the gold on your teeth, we're the Nikes on your feet.
The Scary Movie Project podcast. Learn more at thescarymovieproject.com.